Okay, this video is about, I gave another video about how to play the one-handed drum roll. This is about what they call linear drumming, and it's a kind of variation on that. So I'm going to explain what I mean and demonstrate it. So the basic way people play drums, which is usually called layered drumming, is when you play at the same beat with different limbs. So in particular the hi-hat comes down at the same time as the left hand comes down on the snare. So it's like this. Okay, so the point of linear drumming is you try to avoid using your limbs simultaneously to hit at the same time, so that you introduce sounds and rhythms, so there's more going on in the rhythm. So linear drumming, it's not that well defined, but it just means you're trying to separate out the beats. So what I was interested in was, instead of just playing the bass drum in the off beats relative to the snare and the hi-hat, so in the standard way like this. That's the usual way you do it. I was interested in using the hi-hat to go on an offbeat relative to the snare drum rhythm. Now this actually technically is not so easy to do, because you have to be able to use your left foot in a way which is out of synchrony with your left hand, because you're not bringing down the hi-hat at the same time as you hit with the left hand. Like, you're going to have to hit this type of way. So here's what this would sound like when you're just trying to get a little bit of that type of rhythm going. So it's going to sound like this. Okay, I just played that with the cymbal and the snare, but I want you to hear the hi-hat, so I'm going to play it again. So there's not much sound apart from the hi-hat, so you can hear when that's coming down. So I'm going to just play it more quietly like this. Okay, so you get the idea. As I say, it took me a while to be able to play that, because you have to build up, you know, in the usual way when you're trying to separate out your different limbs when you're playing new rhythms. You can't just do it overnight unless you're particularly good at it. But it took me a while to do it. But once you've done it, that introduces is a new rhythmic possibility. So now you've got, like in linear drumming, the hi-hat coming down in anticipation of the snare, right, like an offbeat. So I sometimes call this offset drumming, so to distinguish it from just linear drumming. So it's offset drumming is a type of linear drumming, but it involves particularly the hi-hat operating in the way I just described. So you can then build together these things, and you can start to play different types of rhythms. You can have a mixture where you're playing some layered drumming and some offset drumming. So it might sound like this. One of those there I'm playing off with the hi-hat, and one of them just playing it down with the hi-hat at the same time as the snare drum. You can do all these variations, but the important point is to learn the technique of playing the hi-hat on that anticipatory offbeat before you come down with the left hand on the snare. Now, if you see my other video about the one-handed drum roll, you can combine these two techniques. It's not particularly musically to my ear all that exciting, but just to show you what I mean by that, I'm going to do what I call double drumming with the hi-hat, the one-handed drum roll, and then play the offbeat, the offset drumming with the left hand. So we go like this. I speed it up on purpose to show that you can go quite quickly, even though you're playing this, because this you can move very quickly. You wouldn't normally want to play at that speed. So as I say, that is not, to my ear, particularly eurythmic. That means nice rhythm. But you can combine the two things. Essentially what you want is the two separate abilities. The one-handed drum roll ability, which you can play with the hi-hat like that. And then the other thing is playing the hi-hat on that off beat. Okay? End of video.